Today we have Paul Lukowski telling us about the Care Connection order sets for ordering blood products.
Alright, so this is the screen that you guys typically get when you first open up a patient's chart. So for the most of you, I've already set up transfusion power plans. There's this folder there. If I haven't, just reach out to me, give me your password, and I'll set it up for you. But anyways, this is very similar to how you would order your pre and post-op power plans. Just click on the folder. Then I'm going to do the RBC active bleeding. Now this one you can order more than one unit of blood at a time. With not active bleeding one, you can only order one unit. So more than likely you guys are going to be using this one. So anyways, click on order, click on the green box, and then hit modify. If you want to type in screen, you can put that in there. If you don't, if you want anything to be drawn after the transfusion, you can select this one, and then this one's going to ask you how many hours post-transfusion do you want this blood to be drawn. And then you click on orders for signature, and you get this pop-up window. It just asks you the indication for the transfusion. So whichever one, or you can select other if you want to put in some other reason. And then there's this green check mark up here. You need to click on it to sign it.
Is this a non-active bleeding one?
This is the
active bleeding one. This is problematic.
So then you got some details to fill out.
I think doesn't active bleeding explain the reason for ordering blood?
indication, right?
Like, why do we need the reason if there's active bleeding?
What we want to do is we spend some
Just
time
out
on
of
the
curiosity.
computer.
It's just a way it's built. I'm not. Anyways, so number of units, you can order up to 4 at a time. It's going to put into for now. When you want to transfuse, so we want to do it now. Any modifiers, wash or radiated, whatever. Consent and trust, say yes. And then this just asks you how long do you want to transfuse or you're going to transfuse the blood over. For you guys, it's not a big deal, but it's usually for the nurses. So
Is there a way that we can modify this for us to get rid of this?
So there's nothing that we're going to be able to get rid of. I'm thinking once you guys get approved to have the blood product release order, I can sort of set these up so where a lot of this is already pre-completed. So 2 units transfuse over is just going to be whatever, like 30 minutes or whatever you guys usually give it over. Same with the blood product release. We can pre-fill it, because every time you order it, it's going to ask you like, what are you trying to release? But if you're ordering RBCs and you're within the RBC power plant, we can set it up so it's automatically going to go to RBCs. So anyways, I'm going to put in, let's see, 30 minutes. And then this one, how many hours after transfusion?
That doesn't make sense because we do our own usually.
Okay, so if you do your own, we can just get rid of it, or
Yeah, that's the one more thing we don't have.
Or just pre-populated
Yeah,
with a one.
pre-populate it and then we just click.
whatever you guys want to do. I mean, we can discuss that. And then when you're done, you hit sign. Now, the one thing that the anesthesiologists aren't able to do at this point is order the blood product release order, so somebody else has to. CRNAs can't put in the blood product release, so if you type in blood product release, it shows up, but for you guys, if you type it in, nothing shows up. The name of the order is blood product release.
So I don't understand. So when we fill out this order for 2 units,
Yes.
click on whatever. Nothing happens until we put another order which called blood product release. There's 2 orders.
So when you put in the first order,
Yeah.
they get the blood ready, and then you need to put in the blood product release. So for you guys, it's a little different than it is from the rest of the hospital, because when you guys order it, you're gonna give it right away. But in the rest of the hospital, when they give it, the nurse needs to release it when she's ready to give it. So the process is a little different.
Can the active bleeding get rid of that? If you're giving it in the OR, can we make it so you don't have to release it?
I don't think so. We brought it up to someone from blood bank, and I don't think they said that we can just use it as one order. The only thing that we could probably do is is just embed the blood product release orderable within the power plan. So when you're ordering the power plan, everything gets ordered at the same time, so you don't have to go back and put in the blood product release separately.
So so we order the blood, but it doesn't get released.
Correct. Right now,
But the nurses cannot release it.
you can release it soon.
Oh my God.
Is it possible to do this order the day before somehow? Like put like a start time of the order the next day
I'm
or
not
something?
sure. I mean, that's something probably to ask the blood bank. I'm not sure how they treat these orders, but I don't see why not. It's like they pre-up orders that you can do the night before, the week before. You just gotta put in the date. I don't see why we shouldn't be able to do this way.
This is a problem.
Can you do like something else, like platelets? See how that differs from the
So
red cells?
each blood product that you're ordering is a separate order. So
Yeah.
like so you have to order platelets under a separate order as you order.
There's
Platelets is
a whole
separate
massive
power plant.
transfusion protocol.
Yeah, the massive transfusion.
Massive transfusion gives you 4 units of packed cells, 1 platelet,
An alternative.
and a cryo every
Is
other.
that one of the options up there? Massive transfusion?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it? Oh.
I haven't had it in there, but you can.
Yeah, we should
Yeah,
add
because
that.
you don't wanna go through and order every stupid thing.
Make it number
Massive
1 on the list.
Okay.
Well, they should just send it to you from blood bank. You don't have to order the blood products under MTP, right? If you activate MTP, they should just be sending you products, right?
They send
You
you
shouldn't
one
have to
round. They
order
send you one
anything.
round at a time.
Yeah, but you still have to order them all?
No,
Okay,
No,
yeah.
for the MTP. that-
no, it's
yeah.
automatic. Each round
Yeah,
is
so you
slightly.
don't have to put in the orders. I think you call it, I don't know, that's what I was saying. Do you know?
Yeah, how do you activate
Massive transfusion? They said the nurse can do that one for you.
Okay, so then it's not an order.
Circulator can do that.
Special.
But we should have the capability of doing it ourselves
It's
if
like a
we.
massive transfusion protocol.
This is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. If we need one person just to do this, there's no way you can do
Alright,
this.
this one is
It's
pretty
actively
Well, when you're
bleeding.
actively bleeding,
And,
this is,
and you're by yourself on a weekend, it's insane. You're just gonna, everybody's gonna have to activate the massive transfusion protocol on every patient.
that's what I'm saying, it's the unintended consequences, we're gonna order way too much stuff. Because if there's even a chance, because you don't wanna have to be doing this last
You
minute.
cannot do this.
Well, blood can
You
be
give
sent
me a-
back, but platelets can't. Plasma can. Yeah, that's right. 4 units of. Yeah, you get blood, plasma, and I think platelets in your.
I mean,
when you
in the
order.
heat of battle, we can still tell the nurse to verbally do it or put it, I mean, what would we do in the heat
Is the nurse
of?
allowed to put a stop on that and say, well, this isn't really that serious, you have to put the order in? I guess, who decides how,
No, that's your call. That's our call.
you know what I mean, then,
But, you know, if you end up wasting the blood products, it's definitely gonna come back to you.
That's okay.
Yeah. It's not 'cause of us.
So what's the downside to just, if you have a patient that you think is gonna bleed, cross-matching 3 units? And then not releasing them unless you absolutely need them? They're not coming from the blood bank then, right?
But
So
you
like.
can't release it anyway.
Well, they used
But I'm
to.
saying like, so if, like, there was a weekend ago when I was on, and I was doing a hip and the guy's hemoglobin was low, so I cross-matched 2 units before I even went into the OR. And I only ended up taking 1.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem, you're only using 1 unit and then you
Yeah.
can do all that beforehand, right?
Yeah, and you.
I mean,
and
it still sucks.
They
You
say,
have
do
to
you
go
want
through
them
the
in the OR?
process.
So that means they must release them, and they put them in the refrigerator for you, and if you don't use it, then they send it back. But it's been in the refrigerator, so it can be sent back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfectly fine, what you
Then I
did.
guess that would be, but I guess that would be the way to avoid having to do this in the middle of it. I mean, if you're actively bleeding and you need it that urgently, then you would go through the nurse. But if you have them available,
Well, they said in a dire situation, we talked about that at the meeting, remember?
Yeah,
If-
this is the
Like,
first
like
report.
when Karen had that 5-week-old trauma, you know, her hands were occupied and they're trying to tell her to order blood, which was, you know, ridiculous. And in those situations, the nurse can do it for us. Right, if we're like obviously, you know, too busy to do it, then they can't.
That's up to us, like, that's our discretion, we can say, I'm too busy, you have to do it, and they can do it.
Yeah, well, that was before we had that meeting, so,
5 times.
Is any of the orders generated from the surgeon pre-op blood orders? You may have mentioned that. Like I'm doing a heart today, and there's, they have blood on hold for that. Am I entering that, or that's always come from the surgeon in the past? They're standing orders. I don't know who's.
no, it doesn't have to be ordered by us, it can be ordered by anybody, I think.
But I mean, previously we weren't doing that orders. I don't know where the order was generated from, but it isn't now our responsibility.
Yeah.
That's the question.
In the P-card.
It's a good question, I don't know the answer to that.
Because I was told, well, I did the AAA, and we got delayed the other day because there was no order in the blood. That's something, so it's causing lots of delays. Well, there was no, AAA, the open AAA that I did, there was nothing had been ordered.
Scheduled?
Scheduled AAA. Yeah.
So what did you do?
I just put the order in.
For
And,
what? For what?
I just did that non-actively bleeding 2 units
Okay.
cross match.
But who released it?
Amina from the front desk. I was told that she could do it.
She's.
And she gave me a
More
snarky
authority than
response,
us.
like, well, if you're nice to me, do it. And I'm like, this is, so.
Well, the blood bank says people are hanging up on anesthesiologists. They're getting upset by that, because people are getting frustrated and hanging up.
This is ridiculous.
We didn't invent this, obviously, this is coming down from somewhere else.
The problem is there's a
Who
total
did that?
disconnect between, the blood bank has no idea what we do in the OR. This was a problem where I came from too. They have, the concept of like massive transfusion to them and needing blood quickly is, they just don't get it. Like they have
So-
no idea what a Belmont is, they don't know what a level 1 is. The concept of giving blood that fast is not something that they understand. Like we were asked, how are we monitoring for fluid overload if we're giving blood that fast? Like, it's just, yeah,
Who
like
asked that?
there's a disconnect. This was at my previous institution,
Oh.
but like, they don't understand, so that's
Probably every institution.
that's what I'm saying,
It's
like,
not
they
the blood
don't,
bank,
that's
it's
why
like-
this is the process that we have to
It's,
go through,
it's,
because they
it's,
don't
all, it's not only
understand.
blood bank, it's other departments. We're always in the middle between, worlds. You go to GI, it's a separate world. The blood bank is a separate. They don't, they exist in parallel, but they don't crisscross. So we are constantly this, bridge between those. And it's hard to explain to people that, your perception of what we do is different from the reality. I don't understand, what's the process of things like that when they happen? They just tell you, okay, that's what you guys have to do from now on?
No. So, as you know, there was an ABO incompatible transfusion reaction, which was a catastrophe. That led to what's called a root cause analysis, where there's multiple departments sitting around a table talking about the details and the timeline and all the holes in Swiss cheese that things fell through. And then they have to come up with an action plan, and this was the action plan.
The problem that this addresses nothing that was the root cause that happened in that case.
Problem is, they gotta do something to satisfy the
Right.
DNV. And if the DNV is not satisfied, then we don't get DNV accreditation. We don't get DNV accreditation, it's a big deal. So we're just gonna have to deal with this and refine it and try to
Until
make it
something
as good as we
At
can.
the other end happens.
Yeah.
Exactly,
It goes
exactly.
to the others.
So somebody doesn't get blood, dies, and then.
I'm not defending it.
Then we have.
Is there a safety officer who reviews this at all? Like, is
there a safety officer in the house that reviews it or something like that?
Well, you know, what we can do is keep writing RDEs every time we think there's a safety concern associated with this. And Leo Kelly and Roma Garg and Rachel Zastro go over all those things. And when they start seeing a pattern of a problem, you know, then they try and fix it. But you know, when they roll something out, it's always going to be terrible at the beginning, obviously, like this is.
I guess the other question is to clarify who's responsible for just the normal, you know, when they have 2 units on hold for a case. Who's responsible for putting those orders in? Because we were never responsible for it before. They didn't put it in under our name, I don't think. They put it in under the surgeon. So,
Well, I think they put it in under our name if we said we need 2 units.
right, but I mean, just for a standard, you know, there are some cases that they have protocolized.
Just like hip replacements.
Yeah, type in screens, type in, you know.
Yeah, I think the surgeons put that in.
Yeah,
I hope that didn't change.
Nothing changed.
But that's what I'm saying, I just wanna make sure that.
Well, that's surgeon specific. I don't know if we're ever going to iron that all out. That's what it's.
But I mean, there are some protocolized, you know, cases that, like, you know, a redo heart always has 4 units, a TAVR always has 4 units.
Marquetto always has.
But it's not automatic, but I mean, there's a couple cases that are, you know, always you know, it's based on some sort of previous.
Well, I can't imagine that's going to change, but usually when you start one of those cases, do you usually ask, do we have that blood?
I mean, it's expected in all these cases that we do. So that's what I'm saying, we gotta still expect it. Has the entire process for ordering blood fallen solely on us? I'm not arguing with how we actually enter the orders, I'm talking about the whole system of, you know, if we have,
Well,
just like
I think that's the
pre-op
idea.
antibiotics,
I think that's the idea. So I think we have to assume we're ordering it until proven otherwise at this point.
I just still confused with this release word, so
Yeah.
So, yeah, so
what hours?
what I was saying, just before you came in, we had a meeting to discuss just that. And they're working on, you know, adding something into the order set where we can release it ourselves. It's gonna happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Can they do it in a situation like Karen was in, when you really don't have time to keep on clicking and you don't know what you're clicking at because you're seeing it not often enough? Can you ask somebody, hey, just put a telephone order, I'll sign it?
Yes.
Who should I talk to about it?
Circulator.
Okay.
Circulator takes it up with the charge nurse. Charge nurse ends up ordering it for him.
There's the problem in the first place.
Isn't that what it was? Yeah.
The charge nurse is the one who brought the blood into the room, but I don't know if she was actually part of the ordering process. I don't
So
think
we
she
can
was.
actually ask for the telephone order to be placed in our name and then we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, well, no, if you're, it's gonna be a situation that where you are obviously too busy to do it
Right.
yourself.
Well, Karen was in a situation where she was obviously too busy.
Right.
But the nurse wouldn't, she was like, a dog with my neck in her, you know, teeth, she just wouldn't let go.
So Jenny Walensky was at this meeting with us, and she was the one writing notes furiously, so, I'll ask her.
Okay.
I'll ask her if she knows, I think she was very instrumental in getting this whole thing going. So, I'll ask her if the sole responsibility falls on our shoulders even for hearts. And,
I think we just have to be protected in the
It's
case
fine.
where we really don't have time to, you know, go on the computer and click on all of this stuff.
yeah, Cindy Mayhall was at that meeting, and she agreed 100% with that.
Because
They
if I have
realize-
time, I don't mind, you know, doing all of this, but.
Right, if
when
it's
situa- when I have
how
other
often do
things
we
to do-
leisurely order blood?
Right.
It's almost
That's
never.
the whole point.
Right.
So if we have a capability, just tell them, put it in and I'll sign it later. That's gonna solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
All right, Paul.
If they click on emergency status of the patient, it could like discontinue all this stuff. And-
Can you just click on a platelet order and maybe a plasma and just see if there's anything tricky about those? So we want platelets, what do we do?
So, alright, so transfuse, just platelets with our plants. Looks similar to the RBC. This is the only difference, the order right here. These. We still gotta put in an indication.
How did you get to that screen? Oh, orders
Oh,
for
yeah.
signature?
Yeah, it's the same process as you would put in your, like, your pre and post op orders.
So it won't let you out until you complete all the details.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So for this one, yeah, you gotta put in number of units.
What does it say? What modifier?
Blood
You
bank.
radiated
Like
or-
it irradiated.
PB modifier? Oh, I see, radiated or not.
I don't think I've ever ordered irradiated platelets.
I know.
For cancer patients.
Well, it defaults to none, I think. So we want transfuse now. Sign up first. Sign.
What
And
was
what-
that little green box
Yeah,
up in,
that-
I've
yeah.
never seen that before.
Oh, when you put in your orders?
That one, no, the one that was up in
The
the
one up
upper
here?
left-hand corner.
Way upper left corner, you
The
checked
check
it when you
mark-
were
the check
ordering
mark
packed
notice that, I've
cells.
never seen
Oh,
that
the,
before.
okay,
It's just a check mark.
Do it again, let's go back
It just-
through it one more
just
time.
completes that form.
Yeah, when you put in a patient weight, which we have to do an MRI, you have to do the check to make
yeah,
it.
it's just to
go
sign off
through.
on that form, so.
Can you
the
go through
indication-
packed cells one more time?
Oh, here, packed cells?
Platelets look a lot easier.
Oh, the ordering notes.
But you can think you've ordered it, and then until you release it, you're just sitting there waiting for it, and it's not coming unless you've got someone to release it.
Do you have to wait a period of time between putting the order in and the release?
I don't think so.
I called like right away, and they had the order right away, it
Okay.
seemed.
Dumb and
So
dumber.
here, when I put in orders for signature, you're gonna get this pop-up box, and this
It's
is
that
just.
check.
Yeah, and it says sign form. Yeah, if you hover over it.
Yeah, I don't know, sweet.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
specific to
It
power
pops
box.
up.
I use that in other stuff,
I've been doing other.
but I didn't know this, you had to do that for this.
And I've just been removing that hemoglobin, obtained hemoglobin order. Just right click it and remove it.
Oh, okay.
Can you do that?
Can you get this to a certain point and save it as a favorite?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I could probably,
You know, pre-populated?
oh, yeah. So all this stuff that I put in, all the details, we can do it.
For your
Every
DNC.
day document.
Could you show us one of the pediatric ones?
Yeah,
Sure. Anything specific?
just click on
The
it.
peds or immune and RBC or something?
So
About
just to clarify,
pediatric
all you're doing with
transfusion.
this order is cross-matching units. You're not, you can't get them until they're released, and
Right.
the type and screen and everything should have already been done. So this is just cross-matching.
Mm-hmm.
So this is
Lab
the
take-
peds one.
What did I say?
And we don't have to order the type and screen. Is that correct?
Well, we might, if it's not done.
Well, that's in pre-op, that's part of the green sheet. Do we need a
But
type
if
and
it-
screen?
If a type and screen has not been done, can we do this? Can we put this in if a type and screen has not been done?
Looks like it, there's an order for it right there.
Isn't it? Where?
Type and screen just above transfuse.
Yeah, you can order the package screen with this power plan if it hasn't been ordered.
Okay.
So do we have to check all that
Is
stuff?
that part
in
of
the
every
outside?
single,
If you're ordering.
that should be probably in part of every single plan.
Package screen?
Yeah.
I think so.
But if they type the screen beforehand, you know, when you basically type and cross.
Well, I mean, if it's not done though, I
Yeah.
mean, we should have the capability of ordering it.
But it's, yeah.
Of course, we'll have to draw it too.
So for the pediatric one, the only.
Two
difference
samples,
is-
15
so you
minutes
gotta put in-
apart.
Put in the.
Two separate
Well,
sites.
Volume to be transfused.
Okay.
Isn't it great? This is great. All right.
All right.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
Thank you.